Yeah, so those are some of the puppets from the Toopy and Binoo puppet show, which we did live, and we also did a TV version as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but the TV version was pretty terrific.
Hello there.
General Kenobi!
What is up, people? It is I, Dr. Emperor Silly Gopher. That's my full name. Ask my parents. It's on my birth certificate. I have traveled far and wide across the seas and mountains to deliver you great news. Obviously, as my name implies, I was being a silly one day, exploring the wilderness, when I found something intriguing. I watched it. Toopy and Binoo is a kid's show. It started as a book series written by French-Canadian author Dominique Jolin. In 2005, she presented a pitch to Spectra Animation. They then adapted her books, more specifically the titular characters and themes, into an episodic TV show. It's mainly Canadian, so if you've never heard of it, that's probably why. But when I was a kid growing up on Treehouse, this is what I had. It's cute, but it isn't what we're here to talk about today. In 2013, Toopy and Binoo decided to delve into a new medium. Muppets.
That's adorable. What the? Ginger, no!
I can still remember seeing an ad for this on my parents' TV. I don't think I was supposed to be on it, but once I saw it, my dumbass still ran off to tell my mum anyways. And I still remember sitting on the end of the couch, watching the pilot when it first aired. Years later, I got this DVD, a compilation of 8 episodes from the show. And over the years, I started to realize something. Damn. I like girls. Oh, and also, Vroom Vroom Zoom wasn't very good. Ever since I was a kid, something didn't quite click for me. I enjoyed the vibes and having it on in the background, but every time I tried to pay attention, my brain started melting into goo. But now, as a full-blown grown-up, with a deeper appreciation and passion for the arts, I decided to revisit it. Maybe I was just a negative Nelly and I was underrating it. And now, I can safely say that it is shit. It's so bad. It's a horrific show, and I wanted to cry the more I watched it. Nobody's talked about Vroom Vroom Zoom. Am I gonna have to say that name the whole video? Nobody's talked about Vroom Vroom Zoom before, so I thought it would be cool to share my findings, whatever the conclusion. And unfortunately, most of this show isn't very good. But as this is my first video, I feel like I should make some disclaimers. Or maybe disclaimers is the wrong word? How about an introduction? Not just my name, but what my goal here is. I want to prove that Toopy and Binoo Vroom Vroom Zoom is bad by giving it a fair analysis. I'm a firm believer that art isn't as subjective as people like to think. Taste in art? Yeah. But much like anything else, stories in all forms are trying to accomplish a goal. Let's say you have a cake. It sure looks like a nice cake on the outside, but when you take a bite in said cake, it's basically complete sludge. It tastes awful. The ingredients were off. Maybe it even makes you sick. We wouldn't call this a good cake because it fails to accomplish its goal as a food. Stories are made up of their own ingredients, although a lot of people fail to realize their importance. My friend told me a story once. He was in class, and they had to work on a story as a team-building exercise. And one of the guys decided to keep putting random nonsense in their story, repeating the phrase, "It's just a story, it's not that deep." He texted me right after that, and I've held on to this anecdote ever since because it speaks to me that some people don't understand what stories are. Some people think art is meant to be mindless entertainment, or scratch that film, television, and games are meant to be mindless entertainment. You won't find many people who think that paintings or books fall into that camp. They think that the majority of them aren't meant to be thought about, and that their only goal is to be enjoyable. And that's not true. Don't get me wrong, you can certainly choose to watch things like that, I and everyone else won't stop you, but it does miss the point. Characters, plot, and world building work together to convey a theme, and themes are the main goal of any story. I feel like I'm condescending a bit when I say this, but I've unironically heard the phrase, "some stories don't need themes," from multiple people. Since the dawn of time, humans have been using stories to tell a point. As a classic example, the story of Lucifer tells how even the best of us can fall victim to our darkest impulses. He was once a beautiful angel, but his pride drove him to heinous actions. It's a tragedy, one we're meant to relate to and fear. Same thing goes for logic. Without a theme, a story is nothing, but at the same time, it needs those other elements, plot, characters, world building, etc., to properly convey the message. Stories need plot beats, character motivations, world building elements. It needs to be cohesive and strong to have any chance of surviving. If any one of its elements falters, I'd consider that an issue. This is pretty basic stuff if you ask me, and if you clicked on an in-depth video about Toopy and Binoo, I think you probably already knew this. But considering the subject matter and the fact that this is my first time, I think it's important to say this at the top. Yes, Toopy and Binoo is a kid's brand. I did not go into this expecting rich characterization or deep hidden meanings. It's not trying to be that. But it's one thing to know kids media isn't meant to be as sophisticated as an adult drama. It's another entirely to say expecting kids media to be good is stupid. I heard this shit when I was a kid. It pissed me off then, and it still does. See, kids media doesn't just get a pass. You don't get to just phone it the fuck in because 5-year-olds are watching. Kids deserve better than mindless slop, and that's unfortunately becoming more and more of a hot take. It's annoying every time people tell me not to think hard about media or kid shows when thinking about them is kind of the point of fucking stories. I don't expect in-depth critiques from the ordinary person, that's why I'm here. I just wanted to say that if strong themes and consistent plots are achievable, then they should be achieved. And when any story, regardless of demographic, fails to live up to these basic standards, I think it's an issue. So after all that, what I mean to say is, if you come at me saying, stories aren't meant to be analyzed, you officially will not survive the purge. I remember things, don't play with me. And based on these standards, I think Toopy and Binoo Vroom Vroom Zoom is pretty bad. Now, the main issue I've always held with it is that it doesn't make sense. I've now watched the entire show, and for the life of me, I cannot wrap my brain around anything. Right off the bat, is this show connected in any way to the previous one? There are plenty of incongruities to point to. Little things like Patchy Patch being blue instead of green, to bigger things like the characters and themes. The original show is all about imagination. Toopy and Binoo don't really go anywhere, not physically. The gimmick is that they take seemingly mundane tasks and use their imaginations to make it more interesting and exciting. We're not meant to believe that Toopy and Binoo actually went inside of Binoo's backpack, or that there's an actual pocket universe in there. It's all metaphorical. It takes the childish curiosity about what being in a backpack must feel like and openly uses the characters' imaginations to explore an exaggerated version of that. That's not how every episode goes, but it's how most of them do. Vroom Vroom Zoom, on the other hand, is all about exploration. The show relies on a fast travel mechanic, which is inspired by the old show, but unlike the old show, we're meant to believe Toopy and Binoo are actually going on adventures. There's an episode where Toopy gets the worms? I'm not kidding, and the whole episode's just dealing with that. Honestly, why would Toopy and Binoo play pretend about that? There's another one like it, where Binoo gets hiccups and the episode is all about trying to cure them. And again, why would they play pretend about that? I understand playing dress up, the backpack thing, but pretending you have hiccups or fucking worms? That's a bit of a stretch. The plots of this show rely on the things around them actually taking place. In fact, there's an episode in which the themes are kind of destroyed if we interpret the events of the show as just imagination. Binoo's surprise party is all about Binoo's friends throwing him a birthday party. To get to the party, they need to use their magic bed. Remember, the magic bed was a thing of their imagination in the old show. So we have to assume that every time they use the magic bed to go anywhere, it's all just make-believe. Which means that Binoo didn't have a surprise party. No one really threw him one. Or, even sadder, no one showed up, so they had to pretend they did. There is something to be said about lonely kids finding comfort in their parents, or even just themselves. Loneliness is a really tricky thing, and if you struggle with that, I'm sorry, it's not easy. But at the same time, if they did want to explore that theme, Why have such a happy tone the whole way through? Why waste so much time getting a bunch of people who don't really exist to go to this party? Why not actually build up to it? Binoo's sad that no one showed up, so Toopy arranges his toys and they go into, like, fucking birthday land, I don't know. It's clearly not what the episode intended. They have a happy dance at the end! I also just don't like this defense anyways because, okay, if this is just a story Toopy and Binoo are thinking up and telling us, you don't then get to just say, therefore nothing that happens has to make sense. Motherfucker, that just kicks the can down the road. That means, instead of the writers, it's Toopy and Binoo who fucking suck at telling stories. Which wasn't true in the original, by the way. I've watched a decent bit of them to compare, and they're not bad. I wouldn't say they're good, but they're fine. They make sense. Did these guys just forget? My verdict is already that these are two separate shows, but I think the biggest nail in the coffin is actually Toopy and Binoo. The people. Or animals. Toopy and Binoo are completely different characters. Their general personalities remain the same. I think Frank Meshkalite, that's Toopy's voice actor, put it best.
So, and the notion too that he's the only speaking character in this duo, meant that he had to speak with vigor.
So the whole time Toopy taught, it was at 11 out of 10.
And Binoo is just a delightful reactor. He's just like, oh, well, I guess so. Here we go.
But most everything else about them is different. Toopy has the same core traits, but they've essentially taken his personality and completely flanderized him. In the original show, he was a bit single-minded, yes, but he wasn't stupid. He actually had a decent amount of emotional intelligence and critical thinking skills. He's easily excitable, but attentive and even clever. Sometimes he did make stupid decisions, but I think those were more mistakes on the writer's part. I don't think they meant for Toopy to be a creep, but he did technically try to kidnap that fucking kid. And actually, that's a decent point to back up my statement. Like, yeah, that was stupid, but he was doing it for a reason. Binoo was being a little shit and wouldn't listen, so Toopy decided to trick him into thinking he was just gonna leave. Like, he was a fucking adult, and a pretty good guardian figure for Binoo. In Vroom Vroom Zoom, he's a fucking idiot. He's blind most of the time. There's an episode where Binoo dresses up, and Toopy earnestly thinks that Binoo has been replaced. Like, for a second, I thought he was just playing along with Binoo, you know, letting him play dress up, but the more I watched, the more I realized that he actually believes he's gone. That's why they play the cheeky music cue when Binoo shows the sheep his fucking secret identity. And I don't know, maybe this is just me, but if I thought someone I cared about just fucking disappeared and some random guy showed up in his place, I'm gonna fucking panic. I may even throw hands. This also speaks to a level of parental negligence that is wildly out of character. Sometimes Toopy would lose track of Binoo, but he was always very quick to A, go looking for him, and B, find him and make sure he's safe. Like, this is stupid on its own, but if the old show is canon, then we've got so many more problems. And I think now I want to get into the big thing. What is the nature of Toopy's relationship with Binoo? In the original show, whether he was his parent or a guardian of some kind, Toopy was the adult in Binoo's life. Frank confirmed this was their intention, but beyond that, it's pretty obvious in the text. Despite the order in the title, Binoo was the main character. It was his imagination we were following. He went through the most change and development. Toopy was normally a reactor, playing along to give the illusion that this was really happening, and Binoo was in the driver's seat. In this show, not only is Binoo kinda static, more on that later, but he also doesn't seem to be as childish anymore. Binoo has always been fairly level-headed, but this show takes that trust Toopy places in him a bit further. First of all, he's the same size as Toopy. The OG show had this cute thing where Binoo, the cat, was really small and Toopy, the mouse, was really big. You know, like a gag, but it visually indicated that Toopy was the adult and Binoo was the child. Sorry, Mousy, but most 5-year-olds are shorter than their parents.
What the fuck? Why did I just catch a stray? I didn't even do anything.
You know what you did. She was my wife.
What?
Clearly that's not here anymore. It's weird, because on the one hand, there actually are a few moments where Toopy does treat Binoo like a kid. Notably a few where Binoo can't get up and Toopy helps him. But then again, if that's the case, why is Toopy so irresponsible with Binoo? There are multiple episodes where Toopy leaves Binoo unattended for so fucking long. This dude is out here and he's just up and leaving. My guy, watch your kid! This is what you were good at! Why do you start fucking up now all of a sudden? There are also a few scenes where Toopy and Binoo share some, romantic tension? Like, unironically, since I mainly watched this DVD for Toopy and Binoo stuff, I grew up thinking they were a gay couple. Like, it made sense based on what I was shown, and I kinda thought that was cool. But now, looking back and going through, I don't think that was ever the intention. And if Binoo was still meant to be a kid, as is sometimes implied, then what in the actual fuck? Toopy, what did you mean by this? Why did you take him on a romantic date? Toopy, what the fuck? Stop! Stop, you fucking creep! That's probably the nail in the coffin, but I've got one more point on this. Binoo can fly the bed. If Binoo was a kid, why would he be allowed to fly it? This is a fucking aircraft. I don't care how fantastical it is. The show literally tells us that falling off it could lead to your death.
Binoo, you saved me!
One wrong move and he's dead. If Binoo was Toopy's kid, or worse, these shows are meant to be connected, then you've assassinated Toopy's character. You've characterized Toopy as a dangerously irresponsible parent, and it'd be one thing if this was the point, but this never gets addressed. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the interpretation that Binoo is Toopy's contemporary. I think that's more supported than any one where he's a kid, and it does far less damage to the actual show. I'm not done talking about these characters, though. When I started this critique, I thought that the biggest issue I found was that Toopy was a pedophile, but I kinda convinced myself that Binoo's not supposed to be his kid in this one. It's a bit inconsistent, and I wish the terms of their relationship were better explained.
My best friend Binoo should be around here somewhere. My friend Binoo and I have a pair of scissors exactly the same. Oh, Binoo, you are my very best friend. Doobie-doobie-doo. I'm your very best friend, too.
Okay, yeah, I know he says that a bunch, but need I remind you that we have two different things that point to a more specific relationship. One more than the other? And also, there are partners and parents who just call each other that. But whatever, fine, we're going with mine anyways. I think the bigger issue with these characters is the way Toopy treats Binoo. Binoo is my favorite character in the show, basically by default. Most of the others don't have any real personality, and Toopy's just a nightmare in people form. Like, I started out not minding him too much, but by the end I wanted to go on a rampage.
Oh, that's so funny. Listen to this.
I think the big difference for me, Bonnie, was that there were a lot of other characters involved. Toopy holds for a 2-minute or a 5-minute, or I'm not absolutely sure that Toopy could do a 70-minute film just with Binoo, you know?
Yeah, you said it, buddy. But Binoo's different. He's a pretty smart dude. Unlike Toopy, he actually acts his age. He's pretty sensible, and every time he made a logical decision, I gave my Binoo stuffy a hug.
Yeah, this is mine. My mom made him for me. He's a bit worn, but I love him. Say hi, Binoo. Okay, I did not expect the racism.
As an example, when Toopy got the worms, Binoo locked in and tried to fix the problem. He only thought he had itching, so he decided to take him to the mountains to cure it. Realistically speaking, cold environments are bad for itchy skin, but to Binoo's credit, this is a fictional world which can tell us whatever it wants to about temperatures and its effects on the animals around them, so I'm fine with this. He also knew that Toopy was distracted, so it wouldn't be safe for him to fly. These are two decisions built on internal logic, and speaks to Binoo's resourcefulness. This is a bit of a sidebar. I actually really liked that episode. I thought the premise was fucking hilarious. The opening was quick and clever. These guys were making actual smart decisions. I was hoping it would be the one good episode, but alas, it was not. Second half let it down. My life be so unfair. I put my phone in the fridge, then wondered, hey, where my phone? Opened the fridge, there my phone. Jesus Christ.
Oh dear. Uh-oh. Oh, I got one there. Oh no. Oh, I'm all itchy again.
Dude, I believe that
Caterpillar
gave you the clap.
Little examples like this exist all across the show. Binoo is aware that Toopy can be a bit dim too. A lot of the time, he's the one to look frustrated when he does dumb shit. But this is where I get into my issues. I don't think they developed their relationship enough, and I think certain moments kind of necessitated that. Throughout the season, Toopy kinda treats Binoo like shit. There are a few instances of Toopy being nice to Binoo, but for the most part, Vroom Vroom Zoom tries its best to show how narcissistic Toopy is. And sometimes they do that well through clever dialogue, and sometimes it made me want to put a fork in an electrical socket. I don't remember writing that into the script. Mousy, are you trying to kill me?
What? Why would I do that?
Oh, you know why.
No, I really fucking don't.
Toopy does not value Binoo as a person. There are so many examples of this. In Stuck on You, Binoo, through bullshit I'm not ready to explain, Toopy and Binoo get stuck together because of some honey toast. So Toopy decides to have a together day.
This could be Together Day, Binoo. I love it.
That's all fine and good. And the phrase together day implies that you'll do stuff together. Yet all this rude guy does is drag Binoo along while he gets to have fun. He sniffs flowers, leaving before Binoo can sniff any of his own. I already thought that was shitty. Like, can you not feel Binoo's weight each time you tip over? Also, wait, which character is stronger? Then they decide to play hockey. Toopy skates along, not letting Binoo do shit. You may say, oh, well, he was gonna let Binoo have a go. First of all, Binoo tried to skate on his own. There's no way Toopy couldn't feel that. This clearly wasn't some agreement. And after he caught the puck, the only thing on his mind was, what am I going to do with it?
Now, what am I gonna do with this puck?
Like, I don't know, let your friend play? Then he decides, oh sure, let's give Binoo a cookie. You know, after basically taunting him with the fucking thing. Then the dumb fuck gets it stuck to his face. When they get unstuck and get the cookie off, Toopy's the one who eats it! I'm not saying he should have given it to him, that would have been gross, but at least give him another cookie, bro! All Binoo did this episode was get dragged along. Then the episode ends with Toopy saying, we should have honey toast again tomorrow! Like, I'm sorry? Together day, and yet the only choice one of you got to make was to get away from the other! Toopy frequently takes credit for Binoo's accomplishments. I wish I kept track of how frequently, but it's a lot.
Rock, tree, treasure. Rock, tree, treasure. Keep looking, Toopy. Binoo, Binoo, Binoo. This is the rock. There's the tree. And there's the treasure. I found the treasure. I found the treasure. I found the treasure.
And like, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Toopy has a bit of a narcissistic streak, but his friendship with Binoo is another beast. I don't want to keep bringing up the old show, but one of the episodes that sticks out to me is Magic Mirror. Surrounded by several identical versions of himself, each who only care about their own special traits and competition, Toopy realizes that all that really matters to him is Binoo. And after watching this show, I kinda think we needed something like that. Imagine if Vroom Vroom Zoom decided to explore the friendship between Toopy and Binoo. How Toopy's narcissism caused Binoo to build up his emotions. Imagine if we used the Binoo doesn't speak gimmick as an actual thematic component. Toopy acts like an asshole and Binoo keeps it all bottled in. Honestly, there's one moment that really confused me, but if it were placed into this reworked narrative, I think it would flow better. Hide and Go Seek is about Binoo hiding Patchy Patch and Toopy trying to find him. He hid him in the bedroom, so I'm not sure why Toopy decided to leave. That's a bit weird, but when they land, they run into their pal Mr. Monkey. We've seen him before. Then, for no fucking reason, Binoo decides to taunt Mr. Monkey with where Patchy Patch is. Mr. Monkey tries to tell Toopy, but Toopy doesn't see anything, and of course, Mr. Monkey can't speak English. He's a monkey! Wait, how can Toopy then? Like, this goes on for a bit. Bro made Mr. Monkey look mentally inept. I don't know, I think that's kind of out of character, but imagine if he did that because he was sick of Toopy's behavior and wanted to take his frustrations out. This could build throughout the season until it reaches a breaking point. They could even split up. Give us some solo episodes to show them growing apart, realizing how much they depend on each other. Then when they inevitably meet up again, they can hash their feelings out. The moral being that your friends aren't to be taken for granted. They're people too. And good friends listen. You can say, oh, well, they didn't have time for that. And to that, I can only say,
It's a no for me. No.
They had 65 episodes. They made an episode where all they do is play tag. They had nothing but time. The status quo never changes. At best, they introduce new plot mechanics, but the series is designed to be viewed in any order. And I think that's lame. I see these two characters, they're dynamic, and I easily see some pretty great story potential. But no, we've gotta sell compilation DVDs en masse. Some of these covers kinda scare me. Oh, did I say 2 characters? No, sorry, I meant 3. Yeah, so for most of the show, I thought Patchy Patch was just, like, a prop. He was never really a character before, he was just Binoo's stuffed animal. He was important to him, yes, but he was never meant to have a character arc in the same ways Toopy and Binoo would, because he wasn't alive. But damn man, Patchy Patch to the rescue really wants me to think that this guy has been alive the whole time. Again, the show wants us to believe that what is happening is actually happening in-universe. Patchy Patch intervenes at several points to save the day. He fucking teleports exactly where he needs to be, and both Toopy and Binoo are surprised. And it got me thinking, wouldn't it have been cool if Patchy Patch was also an actual character? Maybe have an arc of his own? Why canonize that he's alive if you don't want to write anything for him? Imagine if Patchy Patch became the glue that held the group together. That the only reason Binoo took it for as long as he did was that he didn't want to upset Patchy Patch. Maybe have Patchy Patch stay with Toopy and confront him. Maybe they only meet back up because of him. Maybe he orchestrates it. He knows they're good people. He's seen them do the best of things, and he knows that they can do the most good together. Honestly, Patchy Patch to the Rescue is kind of a shit episode, but I think it could be reworked as the series finale. Tweak it to be their reunion. Patchy Patch nudges them along the way, they save the day, and eventually, after a heart-to-heart, they go back home, stronger and healthier. That's about all I want to say about the characters. The rest of them have no personality or arcs, which is also a shame. I feel like we could have cut a few of them, maybe devoted some time to learning about the people Toopy and Binoo claim to care about that we see every episode. Maybe Mr. Monkey doesn't like Binoo anymore after hide and go seek. Maybe Binoo actually has to fix their friendship, aiding that theme I was just talking about. Whatever. It's so easy to get lost in the what could have beens, but it doesn't change what is. There are a few strong character beats for both Toopy and Binoo, but what we have is pretty hollow and poorly fleshed out. Moving on. I've said a lot about the individual episodes already, and yeah, I don't think any of them are good. The highest score I gave any of them was a 5 out of 10, which is my middle-of-the-road score. 3 Wishes, The Big Itch, Try Me Out Toopy, Toopy's List, Hide and Go Seek, Ducky Chase, Raise Me Flag Matey, Gurgle, and Binoo's Hiccups were all the episodes I thought were fine. Serviceable. Passable. They're about on par with, I'd say, a lot of the original show stuff. You may be thinking, that's not bad. 9 episodes in 1 season. Yeah, it'd be cool if it were higher, but it's something. But didn't I just say there are 65 episodes? That means... Hold up, let me get my calculator out. 56 of these episodes were bad to awful. Oh, not good. And to be honest, those 5s were kinda generous. Some of the reasons I consider these episodes bad are little things. There are a lot of contrivances in each episode. Actually, since I explained the importance of themes and internal consistency, contrivance may need an introduction. Unfortunately, I'm lazy and tired, so Google, you can take this one.
A literary contrivance is an artificial plot device or element that is created to advance the story or resolve conflicts, often perceived as forced or unrealistic.
Thanks, Google! I almost forgive you for that stupid 6-7 update. Nope, I'm not gonna show you what it is. You don't need to see it, and neither did I. As an example, outside of this show, Breaking Bad has a few contrivances, mostly as a result of the writers wanting to move the plot along or add some spectacle. One of the biggest examples of this comes in Season 3, with Andrea. Jesse meets her at one of the group therapy meetings. At the time, Jesse wanted to make some cash for himself by taking meth from his and Walter's cooks and selling it on his own, choosing recovering addicts as his targets. Jesse picked Andrea out of the crowd and went home with her. However, he didn't sell because he learned she had a kid to look after. Andrea later explains that her little brother, Tomas, was involved in a large gang that forced him to kill someone as an initiation ritual. Jessie puts 2 and 2 together and finds out that Tomas was the kid who shot Combo last season. The writers wanted Gus and Walter to be enemies, and the best way to do that is to pit Jessie's moral compass against Gus's operation and have Walter choose, which they'd been setting up all season. Obviously, Jessie wouldn't be okay with Gus using children to peddle meth. The problem is that this arc was facilitated unnaturally. It's already a stretch to say that Jessie and Andrea would have ended up at the same group therapy months apart, but even more so to say that Jessie would have coincidentally picked her out of the lineup. There were more women at group that he could have targeted. Sure, it is technically possible that Jessie would have gone to the same group as her, picked her out of the lineup, and gotten so far as to sleep with her and learn about her brother, but they're all pretty unlikely. She just so happened to be the sister of a kid under Gus's employ, but also the sister of the same kid who killed Combo specifically. Contrivances forego cause and effect so that a writer can puppeteer the story wherever they want it to go. Breaking Bad is an excellent show, and good shows can have these, but they do drag their overall rating down. Now imagine if characters coincidentally being in the same place as each other just to move the plot along was an entire show.
Let's find a friend for me to take a picture of. We're sure to meet someone around here soon.
Yeah, because the universe is really quite small and there's bound to be someone nearby. Ooh!
And sometimes these contrivances bring a story down. Binoo's Party Hat seems like a nothing burger episode, and it mostly is, but the plot is dependent on contrivances. Binoo randomly decides it's party time one day, so they go to 2 different parties their friends are hosting. They weren't invited, they didn't know these were happening. How do I know they weren't invited? They don't stay long for one, but also because Toopy was surprised both times he saw the parties. Did Binoo know and just tell him where to go? I don't know why you wouldn't tell him, he's the driver. If you wanted these parties to be a surprise, why not just fly the bed yourself? This episode also ends with this really annoying shot where Toopy just recaps the episode to us.
Do you remember doing the hula hula at the hula hula party? Or all of the balloons at the castle party? Oh, it was so fabulous, Binoo.
Like, thanks, buddy. I know what just happened. I watched the episode. I know why it's here. It's a pickup shot. They didn't fill the episode runtime, so they had to reshoot it and add it in. It's filler. It adds nothing to the story. And said story was just 2 random parties happening the same day Toopy and Binoo wanted to go to one, and luckily for them, their friends were the hosts. There are a lot of episodes like that. In case you're wondering, no, they weren't really a thing in the old show. It had a few, but from what I watched, not close to this many. These are 6-minute stories, might I add. They ain't got that much going on to save themselves. There is one episode, though. One episode so bold, so big, so unashamedly filled with out-of-character moments, plot holes, and so many contrivances that it actually kinda scared me. More than the divorce.
Who did you marry?
No, Mousy, the question is, who did you marry?
Did I miss an episode?
Ladies and gentlemen, you stole my heart. That's what my wife said to you, Mousy.
I'm lost.
Even as a kid, this episode drove me nuts. You Stole My Heart was the first episode on the DVD I had, so it was always my main exposure to Toopy and Binoo. I knew it wasn't great, that's part of the reason I decided to make this video, frankly, but until the rewatch, I never realized just how bad it really was. Yes, we are going to hyper-analyze this episode, but don't worry, I'm gonna try my best to be reasonable and fair while evaluating it. We will not have a crash out, I swear on Patchy Patch's life. Get it? Cause he doesn't really have one. Fade in on Binoo and Mr. Butterfly. Binoo is cutting a heart out of a piece of paper, and Mr. Butterfly is just chilling there. I have a question already. Why is Mr. Butterfly here? All Binoo is doing is cutting a piece of paper, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm probably just jumping the gun. Trust the cooking process, they'll explain that, they'll explain that, they'll explain that, they'll explain that. I'll explain that. I'll explain that. Then, Binoo hears Toopy coming and ushers Mr. Butterfly out of the house, heart in tow. We can already assume that whatever Binoo was doing, he doesn't want Toopy to know about it. What the fuck are you hiding, Binoo? Toopy then comes into the room, and Binoo pretends to start exercising as a distraction. But aha! Binoo is a fool! He forgot to move the scissors and the red paper! You see, if I were in Binoo's position, I would have just hid the stuff under the bed and let Mr. Butterfly stay here. I know there's like a pocket dimension there, but they've frequently been able to get things in and out of it no problem, so I think Binoo could have just done that. It leaves a lot less clues, so I must assume protecting Mr. Butterfly was really damn important to waste all that time. Mr. Butterfly then decides to fly in front of the window, heart fully in view. This dude flew right back in their view, coincidentally as Toopy turned around, hovered for a second so he could see him, then he left. Mr. Butterfly knows Binoo doesn't want Toopy to see this heart, so why the fuck did he do this? Is he trying to sabotage him? And wait, what was Mr. Butterfly doing outside? Was he waiting for Binoo? Why? Can't he hear Toopy? We see later in this episode that he can indeed communicate, so I'd assume he would. This motherfucker, as the show has bashed into our heads repeatedly, is not quiet. Because Binoo made no effort to hide the stuff, Toopy spots the scissors on the table.
Somebody has scissors just like ours and left them on the table. And look at these red scraps of paper. Oh, they must belong to Mr. Butterfly, because he just flew off with something red and papery.
Toopy sees a pair of scissors that he notes looks identical to theirs. These scissors weren't outside, randomly on the ground. They weren't at a hotel or in a friend's house. They were in Toopy and Binoo's house. So, dear viewer, what do you think the logical deduction to this information would be? A. Mr. Butterfly came to our house to use our scissors and did so before Binoo was in the room. B. Binoo, since he's close, helped Mr. Butterfly use the scissors before he left. C. Binoo was too busy exercising to notice Mr. Butterfly directly beside him, taking out the scissors and paper from wherever they were, and also was too deaf to hear him cutting the scissors. Or D. Donald Duck did it. I'll give you some time. Okay, so time's up. What answer did you guys put in? Donald Duck did it! I would have accepted A or B, but the episode instead peddles C. You guys and the show both fucking suck at this game. You will not be taking the car home. I guess Toopy seems to think Binoo is blind and deaf. Interesting. I could have sworn this show established the main characteristic of Binoo, one Toopy knows about, was that he's observant. He kinda fucking has to be considering he doesn't talk. Toopy decides that their best course of action is to chase Mr. Butterfly down and give him his scissors back. On paper, I don't mind this decision. If Toopy genuinely thought they had his property, then I do believe he'd want to give it back. The issues come in the context of why and how he tries to do it. It's already contrived nonsense that he believes the scissors are Mr. Butterfly's, but it gets worse in due time. Again, Binoo's a smart guy. He's pretty quick on his feet, so Binoo, clear this up, why don't you? Tell Toopy, hey, these are our scissors. He came by to borrow them for an art project. Stories have this all the time. People intentionally hold information back, but it only really works when the character has a reason to do this. Walter White hid all kinds of stuff from his family so that he'd look better, as if he was really the moral pillar of the family. And out of necessity, since if he came clean, he'd be arrested by the DEA and sent to prison. But Binoo has no reason not to do this simple fix, and I more than believe he's smart enough to stop Toopy. The other issue I have with this moment is that Binoo makes eye contact with me, but that ties into a larger point I'm saving for later. Toopy and Binoo spend several moments doing their checkup routine before they take off. Binoo is actively wasting time doing something he doesn't want to do.
Patchy patch aboard. Vroom vroom.
Oh, right, yeah, Patchy Patch is alive, so he could bear witness, right? If Binoo didn't see him, maybe Patchy Patch did. I'm not sure if he can speak, the show doesn't tell us he does, but he can at least move. So just ask him to nod or shake his head, Toopy. I'm talking about this like it's a big deal, but again, the show told us Binoo was panicking. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm supposed to feel tension here. But instead, I, as the viewer, am confused because trying to understand this simple children's episode has caused me to get tangled in several spiders' webs and kidnapped by the great Spider Queen. What are you doing, Toopy? Toopy, he can talk. He can understand things. He has a name. Yell his name. Toopy, please. Toopy, just yell his fucking name. Toopy, he's a butterfly. Just yell his name. Nope. Calm down, silly Gopher. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Take deep breaths. Deep breaths.
I know it's nice that way, Binoo, but Mr. Butterfly went this way.
Oh, this guy. Binoo is randomly choosing when he does and doesn't give a shit about his own mystery. Need I remind you that he could have done this at any point prior to when they were right by Mr. Butterfly. I'll also add that it was stupid of Binoo to try and distract Toopy while they're flying in the fucking sky. You really want him to pay attention to where he's going. Also, is Mr. Butterfly deaf? Or is he ignoring them on purpose? Because if it's the latter, hang on, I feel like he could clear some things up himself. Whatever, he's able to fly away from them because Toopy decided to put his brain on battery saver mode. The pair then land— what the fuck? He's right there! Just land beside him! This also raises an interesting point to me. Is Mr. Butterfly homeless? Because if not, then why would Toopy decide fucking chasing him down was the best option? Just mail the scissors to him. Or better yet, just fly them over with a note saying, "Hey Mr. Butterfly, you left these at our place." But if he doesn't, then wow guys! You let the Duster-Roo stay over and not Mr. Butterfly? This guy does not take up that much space. He is tiny as shit. You fake ass friends. We'll talk about that later too. All I'm gonna say now is that that's stupid. Binoo then catches up to Mr. Butterfly, who tells him he was able to throw the heart into the gopher hole. Again, Mr. Butterfly can just communicate, so why didn't he earlier? While Binoo runs off to get it, Toopy decides now is his cue. No, seriously, what was he doing off screen? How did Binoo get so far ahead? I know Toopy is prone to distractions, but the episode made it clear he was locking in.
I know it's nice that way, Binoo, but Mr. Butterfly went this way. Binoo, please wait, I can't look now. I'm trying to keep my eyes on Mr. Butterfly.
He considers this job very important. He wants Mr. Butterfly to have his property back. So I'd argue by now, both of the main characters have acted pretty out of character. Hashtag not my Toopy and Binoo. Toopy then interrogates Mr. Butterfly, asking him where the scissors came from, and my boy denies ownership, because they're not his. Although honestly, is this shit really worth it over a pair of scissors? Why not just take the scissors to get Toopy off his ass, then bring it and the heart back later? Easy peasy done. And hang the shit on! Now Toopy has to know something's up. Mr. Butterfly still left behind several red scraps of paper, and he had the heart himself. He knows Binoo was in the room when this happened, so he at least used the scissors. You have all the pieces in the puzzle box, you can do this. Fuck. Can I just say that the puppets in this show look like shit? These puppets are downright ugly and creepy. With the exception of Toopy and Binoo, I think they look pretty good all things considered. That is when they use the right Toopy puppet. Sometimes they randomly switch in this horrifying monster fucking pretending to be Toopy, and it scares me more than death. I did not like that. I'm bringing this up because I'm fucking sick of looking at Mr. Butterfly. He's fucking awful, and I want to rip his wings off personally. Hey, look at that, he's gone now! Mr. Gopher conveniently happened to live in the hole Mr. Butterfly threw the paper down. He could have done that because he knew Mr. Gopher lived there. Fine, I'll accept that. Binoo gets Mr. Gopher to throw the heart away instead of just hiding it down the hole or giving it to him so he can hide it himself. I need this heart to be the solution to several global issues now. I need Binoo to have made this heart to cure 3 different diseases at once, and for him to just not trust Toopy with it. This shit needs to be important, world-changing, for me to accept any of this. Toopy then comes back out of the void again. He was calling Binoo at the start of the scene and then comes in frame still talking to Mr. Butterfly. What the fuck? What the fuck is this fucking show? What is this dog-ass continuity? Oh, and don't you worry, guys. I shit you not. Toopy sees Binoo chasing after the heart. This guy looks directly at it and acknowledges it, and yet he has no thoughts. To recap, Toopy knows Mr. Butterfly had
something red and papery.
He knows Binoo was standing next to similar-looking red scraps of paper and a pair of scissors. He should know Mr. Butterfly doesn't want to be caught because he didn't stop when Toopy was right behind him. At a distance, he could definitely hear him from. It's not that much bigger than here. Oh, and Toopy caught him in an obvious lie last scene. He also knows Binoo really didn't want him catching up to Mr. Butterfly. He conveniently didn't see Mr. Gopher with it because he was walking backwards for no reason, but now he has seen with his own 2 eyes Binoo chasing after the red heart.
Oh, now I know who these scissors belong to.
Okay, whew, he got it.
They must belong to you, Mr. Gopher.
What? Holy shit, I'm so close, I'm so close. Who wrote this? Mary McKay Smith. Alright, Mary McKay Smith, stay where you are, I'm gonna come to you. I have an airplane. His name is Craig. He's conservative, but don't worry, he's on the fence. Toopy, with all the information he fucking needs, decides that some random guy who just happened to be here is a part of this fucking Illuminati-esque conspiracy. Mr. Butterfly had the red heart, clearly made out of the red paper. The red paper was in your house, and Mr. Butterfly was right outside it. Mr. Gopher was out in the middle of nowhere. How the fuck would he have anything to do with this? You were on the right track, you dumb fucking bitch!
Well, that's strange.
Yeah, it kind of fucking is. Maybe because Mr. Gopher has really nothing to do with this.
My friend Binoo and I have a pair of scissors exactly the same, so I want to be sure that the right owner gets them back.
And do tell me, where do you keep your scissors? Maybe if you had bothered to check where they normally are instead of just jumping to conclusions, you'd have found out that these are your fucking scissors! As if he wanted me to commit heinous crimes, Toopy asks Mr. Gopher a fucking second time!
Are you absolutely positively sure that these aren't your scissors, Mr. Gopher? Okay.
Mr. Gopher at least denies everything. Unlike Mr. Butterfly, who was involved, Mr. Gopher doesn't really know what's going on, so I don't mind him telling the truth here. This is fine. The heart continues to fly toward the Dustaroos. Obligatory character shows up out of nowhere moment to advance the plot. Mr. Butterfly was that earlier in the episode, but if you twist my arm far enough, I'm willing to accept he was there to give Binoo the red paper. And Mr. Butterfly may have come here to give Mr. Gopher the heart and get Toopy off his ass. Those aren't explanations the show gives, but fucking fine. There's no defense for these two, though. Conveniently, without any cause or effect, 6 of the show's cast were in the same location at the same time, in close proximity to each other, just to move the plot forward. This is another fucking contrivance. You Stole My Heart is collecting these like Pokemon cards. Binoo catches up to them first, because, obviously, but barely has any time to talk to them because Toopy is trying to catch up to him. Firstly, Toopy would have seen the Dustaroos. Secondly, where did the Dustaroos hide? The grass? Because it looks like they're behind the grass. Thirdly, man, Toopy should have some questions for Binoo, like, why the fuck did you just run off? What the fuck are you hiding, Binoo?
You know, Binoo, I don't know right now who the scissors might belong to. Oh, well.
I feel like I'm insulting your intelligence by explaining why some of this shit is dumb, but, you know, then again, this is the internet, so for the same reasons as every other time Toopy was randomly blind, this is dumb as shit. heart. Binoo gets the Dustaroos to walk in Toopy's line of vision with the fucking heart. Need I remind you, he wants to fucking hide this shit? You guys have heard of peripheral vision, right? The Dustaroos, as depicted on screen, would be in Toopy's, meaning his natural reaction would be to look down. I get the intention, but wouldn't it have been better for him to just turn his back while they walk around? I still wouldn't accept that. Toopy would see them when he looks back at Binoo, but it at least would have been a bit better than them walking right under his fucking nose. Toopy decides the best move is to return home and wait for the owner of the scissors to come to them. Talk about a long wait, motherfucker doesn't exist. Then they fly back home and Toopy puts them back where he found them. If we accept his view of the scissors, then this may be the first smart decision he's made all episode. If they think the owner will come back to find them, then putting them back where they found them is very convenient. Good job. I can't say the same for this fucking shit, though. You mean to tell me the Dustaroos hid under the blankets the whole ride? See, I kinda don't buy that. I don't mean to fat shame, but I kinda feel like Toopy and Binoo would have ended up sitting on them if this is where they were. They would have felt them under their asses, provided they don't see the lumps, because these fuckers are not teeny tiny. Where would I have hid them? The smartest move would have been for them to stay here, and for Binoo to pick them up with the bathtub. Just tell Toopy you're taking a bath, lock the door, fly it off, and pick them up, or just the heart. If it has to be right away, anywhere else would have been preferable. How about behind the pillows? Though the best place would definitely be the pocket dimension under their bed. The Dustaroos return the heart to Binoo and decide now is the best time to hide under the bed. This fucking script, man, I can't. Binoo makes one more effort to hide the heart that I'm gonna skip over because I have nothing to say about it before they reveal what it is.
Something on my... Binoo! Oh, Binoo, you cut the heart out. They were our scissors all along. You wanted to surprise me. Well, you really did, Binoo.
It was a present for Toopy. What the fuck, Binoo? You did all this crazy shit to hide the heart from this guy, forcing your friend out of the fucking house, only to just give it to him at the end of the day? All of this was for fucking nothing! I swear to fucking God, this shit should have been avoided at the start of the episode! Just give the heart to Toopy in the first place, you dumb-looking, no-good motherfucker! And what the fuck is that? Oh, how the hell did I get stuck in a tree? This episode is so fucking trash. Almost every decision is wildly out of character. I refuse to believe Binoo would allow this wild goose chase to happen over a piece of paper he was going to give to Toopy anyways. I refuse to accept Toopy's backward thinking. I refuse to accept he never grew suspicious of Binoo when all the pieces of the puzzle were right in front of him. This motherfucker could have the alphabet right in front of him and he'd still think the number 6 comes after C. He is blind as hell out of nowhere. Which especially doesn't make sense because he fucking flies all the damn time. Every supporting character, besides maybe Mr. Gopher, makes stupid fucking choices. The plan is horrendously, hilariously bad. People materialize in and out of universe. The fuck is the story even trying to convey? It has no central thesis, it's just a barrage of nonsense on every page of the script. Fuck you stole my heart. I need a break so I could breathe into a damn bag after that. And maybe Mayday for help after my fucking crash. I don't know where I am. Cut to.
Do you remember when you made me huge? Are you tooting? Come large, come small. Trunks always have good things inside them.
Can you make me big again, please?
Wait, right in the middle. There.
Alright, I'm back. I fucking landed in France. I don't know how the fuck I got here, but whatever. I got some time before help comes, so one last section. The world building is atrocious!
I'm starting to think
It is completely mechanically broken on almost every level. I feel the need to once again bring up the original series. You see, Toopy and Binoo got off lucky most of the time because the world building was incredibly simple. Each different imaginary world, to my knowledge at least, were totally distinct from one another. So whatever one episode established never had to be applied to the next. The Hall of Mirrors episode is another good example because the world that exists in that episode is internally consistent. Obviously, the real world was clearly defined, but the imaginary landscape made sense in the context of the imaginary story. Toopies came in through their different mirrors, and these mirrors led to a pocket dimension. Nice and simple, it doesn't fuck with anything. This show, on the other hand, exists in one fantastical world. This show is dedicated to traveling around it and exploring the landscape. So the fact that everything makes as little sense as it does is, I don't know, a little annoying. It's never consistent. See, one of the few things I thought I knew was that the mountain was close to their house. In Binoo and the Snowflake, Toopy and Binoo decide to return a fallen snowflake to the sky so it can fall to the ground, and they go to the mountain to do so. If the mountain was anywhere but close to their house, why would they have gone there to drop it off? All you needed to do was go up. So it wasn't stated in the show, but I just assumed it was close by. But wait. Earlier in the show, see Toopy run, they decided to go on a jog and fly to the mountain. If the mountain was close to their house, why take the fucking bed over instead of just walking out the fucking door? One of these episodes had to have made a mistake. It's annoying because many of the episodes use ambiguity to just position the characters in random places. There's a loud sneeze in Toopy and Binoo's house? Let's go to the fucking desert to find out what it was. And that brings up so many other questions I had, but we actually need to go a bit more basic in understanding the world building. Like, does gravity exist? On Earth, our gravitational pull pushes things to the ground. If I have something in my hand and then I let go of it, it'll drop to the floor. It doesn't stay in the air, it doesn't go up, it goes down to the ground. At first, I assumed that the same was true in the Vroom Vroom Zoom universe. Things are pushed down to the ground, hence Toopy and Binoo walking along the ground instead of the alternatives. But sometimes things decide to fuck around and physics bend in their fucking favor. Picking up what I dropped earlier, the heart in You Stole My Heart flies all over the place. In our world, it would probably just float down to the ground after a second. But here, air itself manipulates the universe so that this heart can go exactly where it needs to be for the story to continue. You could say it was the wind, but I wouldn't accept that because I need to be fucking told and or shown that it was. I need wind sound effects, I need gusts of air, something tangible to buy this shit. And there are more examples of things acting entirely unrealistically in terms of pure movements. So, gravity doesn't exist. I mean, except when it does. Oxygen also doesn't exist. Toopy and Binoo can regularly fly in the sky with no issue breathing, but that's small fry compared to the fact that they can breathe underwater and in fucking space. But wait, we're told Mr. Fish needs water to survive. So, oxygen does exist? And so does gravity on the moon, at least kind of. The writers play fast and loose with the rules of reality, and each time I'm left with one question. Why? Why was this a creative choice you wanted to make? Reality constantly contradicts itself. That snowflake episode opens up with this really wholesome scene where Toopy and Binoo are catching snowflakes on their tongues. It's just cute and whimsical. It's my favorite scene in the whole show. But then they shoot themselves in the fucking foot by canonizing that snowflakes are actually sentient creatures capable of communication. Jesus Christ! The gang ate sentient creatures with glee. I'm starting to look at you guys differently. You may counter that with the fact that humans eat animals all the time, and I'd say we normally don't eat them while they're fucking alive, bro. Oh, wait. Does that mean snow is alive? Snowflakes are, so how does that work? Is snow just the corpses of several billion snowflakes? Actually, can we talk more about the creatures? They're more evolved than our worlds to the point where, without humans, societies are able to form. Things like buildings and furniture can be crafted. Except that implies a much more complex system than we actually see. I'm fine to accept that animals are the dominant species, I'm even fine with monsters, but apart from Toopy, Binoo, and Mr. Yellow Monster, none of these guys live in proper homes. So are these animals more intelligent or not? Mr. Monster and Mr. Snake live in a cave. I assume 2 different ones, but they look the same. Mr. Gopher lives in a gopher hole. Okay, wait, never mind, I was wrong. He lives in the damn TARDIS. The dragons live on top of a medieval tower. Who built any of this? The rest of the animals that we see have no known place of origin. For all we know, they're homeless. Let me rein it in a bit. I recognize that this point may seem nitpicky, but I'd argue when it comes to this series, these minor things are really important to figure out. There's a pig farm, which sells its own merchandise about pigs. The way Toopy refers to them makes it sound like pigs, unlike most every other animal, are the same as in our world.
It's a pig farm. Oh, I love little piggies. Oh, and farms are fabulous too.
Except, the farm implies pigs are intelligent creatures in their own right. So, which is it? Are pigs the dominant species? Did pigs build all these homes? Why don't we see any of them in the series? Why are sheep treated as cattle when they're capable of language? None of this makes any sense. Wait, Toopy is the only character who can speak English. Are mice the dominant species? Where are the other mice? Toopy, can I meet your parents? I think our relationship has gone on long enough that I feel a bit entitled and a little bit hurt that I'm not able to meet them. We know multiples of the same animal can coexist. We see that with the gophers, the sheep, the monsters, stuffies even. Come to think of it, everyone except Toopy and Binoo. What are Toopy and Binoo? I think I know where to start unpacking this. The magic beds and bathtubs. Throughout the show, the pair fly around in these across the sky. It's the fast travel mechanic that the series primarily relies on. The bed has pocket dimensions underneath, including one that leads to a monster home.
Our house is full of so many happy things, like the monster under the bed and the moon out of her window.
They can travel as high as the moon and as deep as the ocean. They're pretty technologically advanced, frankly, which kinda clashes with the fairy tale-like aesthetic the show is going for. To me, that speaks to the fact that the magic bed and bathtubs were crucial to the creative team. It's the main sell of the reboot. So where did Toopy and Binoo get them? Toopy and Binoo are the only characters in the show that have these types of aircraft. Not only are we never shown any other characters using their own, we're explicitly told they don't. Mr. Squirrel has to break into Toopy and Binoo's fucking house to get them to fly him to a desert island to find his towel? Seriously? If Mr. Squirrel had his own, why wouldn't he cut out the middleman and take it himself? I can't help but wonder why Toopy and Binoo specifically are the only characters to have these. Are they rare? If so, how did Toopy and Binoo get access to them? I don't imagine they're very wealthy, assuming money even exists in this universe. Oh, we can introduce fucking Music Land, but we can't figure out a consistent monetary system. My god, don't make me crash out again. Wait, actually, there's a possible answer. God, or a god, decided to bestow these gifts upon Toopy and Binoo. They gifted them the bed and bathtub to... Wait, what did Toopy and Binoo even do? They normally don't do anything very important. They're honestly kind of nasty a lot of the time. Remember Mr. Monkey? Wait, Mr. Monkey's the only monkey in the show. Oh no. So if God decided they're the only creatures who can have them, fucking why? Are we meant to believe some of the breaks in logic were because of God and his divine influence? The key to happiness randomly opens up with a key falling out of the ceiling.
Binoo, look! It's a key!
Despite the fact that Toopy and Binoo have lived here for quite some time, neither of them know what it's for. And nothing caused it to fall, they weren't doing anything, it just happened. And furthermore, this was one of the keys to their house. I say one of because if Toopy and Binoo didn't have another key and didn't know this one was in the damn ceiling, then we have many more bunches of problems. Did God cause it to fall? Does he intervene in stories to push them along? Do Toopy and Binoo have free will to begin with? Are they puppets in a larger game? Because I think that would kind of fuck with a lot. Does he just think they're entertaining? I don't necessarily agree. I think they live pretty dull lives, but who am I to judge? Even if that was the answer, I wouldn't really accept it because God never appears in Toopy and Binoo. This explanation, a barely functional one, is one I had to pull out of my fucking ass to fill a pretty big gap in the series. Of course, there is another option kind of along these lines. Toopy and Binoo are gods. Hear me out. Not only is Toopy the only character capable of speaking complex language, at least one we can understand, but they have access to all kinds of bizarre shit that nobody else does. Not just the bed and bathtubs, I haven't even mentioned some of the other crazy magic shit they have. There's the power PJs for one.
You're wearing your power PJs! Huh? You're not wearing your power PJs? Oh, those are your super duper power PJs!
Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. I initially thought I was taking the idea that they had superpowers too literally. Maybe they're just playing pretend. Nope.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
These essentially make Toopy and Binoo all powerful. They get super strength, speed, agility, your wishes come true when you wear them. Toopy even mentions that Binoo should be feeling great while wearing them, which I took to mean they boost his health, but I think it's far more likely that wearing power PJs just makes him personally happy. That should probably be the case. I have a feeling Binoo would have noticed this if it was the first interpretation. The power PJs are apparently activated by the buttons on them. Except, maybe they aren't? There's a whole episode where Binoo loses his magic powers, and they explicitly say it's because he lost the button. But Toopy doesn't have any buttons on his, so what the fuck gives? We see these PJs in 3 episodes, and to be honest, I think that's dumb. I mean, their whole existence is dumb. But the fact that the pair have access to magical clothes that give them superpowers, they would have helped Toopy and Binoo on quite a few occasions. Why aren't these always locked and loaded? And do they only have 1 pair each? I mean, surely having a few backups would do you good. And, of course, they're the only characters to ever use the magic PJs. Who made them? Could you buy them at fucking Walmart? If Mr. Monster wanted, could he buy his own? The Dustaroos could have used them in the pilot. Mr. Gopher is pretty fashionable, why doesn't he go get his own? Something like this is pretty easy to machine gun questions for, and unfortunately for this show, I don't think silence is a good answer. Judging by the fact that these 2 are the only ones to have them, I'm left to assume they're the only ones who do. Did they get them somewhere, or did they make them? If so, how did they imbue them with magical powers? Shit, that would have been an interesting arc on its own. Imagine Toopy and Binoo traveling around the world trying to make these PJs off of ancient texts or something. Again, if we have time for an episode where Mr. Squirrel breaks into Toopy and Binoo's fucking house to get his damn towel, we could probably have one about this.
Whoa, do you remember the first time you wore your power PJs? You were...
No, don't stop there! Give me something! Anything, Toopy! Give me some damn explanations! That's all I want! Maybe Toopy and Binoo are magic themselves? There's an episode where Toopy becomes a genie and grants Binoo several wishes. The episode seems confused over whether Binoo actually wanted all of this, or whether this was just Toopy trying to give him a nice day out and playing it up a bit. But if it is the first one, how did he know? Not convinced? Sure, that one's weak. Here's a better one. During Toopy's circus, don't even ask, Mr. Gopher gets on stage and his act is just him teleporting.
Unbelievable!
This is treated as pretty rare, and I already wasn't happy, but at least Mr. Gopher was the only one who did it, right? Are you fucking kidding me?! Binoo can just do that? Here's a question. Why does Binoo only teleport here and now? I can think of so many other times this would have really helped him and Toopy out. This does some damage to his character, but far more impressively, it all but confirms Toopy and Binoo are inherently magic. And the show does fucking nothing with this. What's the point of the magic bed and PJs if they can just do this naturally? These guys can break the fourth wall too. Is that a part of their magic system? Can they see us? Are they doing this for our amusement? Can they create alternate dimensions out of thin air? Is that how the monster's under their bed? Maybe even those times they just fucking teleport home without using the bed were them using their magic powers to transport them across the world, conveniently taking them where they wanted to go. Oh yeah, it wouldn't be a Vroom Vroom Zoom video if I didn't mention Mr. Rope. Fuck Mr. Rope. All my homies hate Mr. Rope. This damn rope is alive, which is fine, I could roll with that. But dude is able to travel so far to take Toopy and Binoo home. You're a rope, buddy. You need to be attached to something. I guess he can fly and do whatever he wants then. Wait, if that's the case, why doesn't he lower them down to the ground? Why does Binoo have to use a damn umbrella? I hate Mr. Rope. I wish terrible things upon Mr. Rope. Speaking of things that made me want to cut all my friends off and drink myself to death, you know how Spider-Man has his Spidey sense? It alerts him to danger? Well, Toopy has one like it. A cheese sense.
Binoo? Whoa.
Bro got the Toopy tickle for goddamn cheese. I actually almost forgot to mention this because there's so much other bullshit to sift through, but this made me burst out laughing, bro. How the fuck does this happen? Was he bit by radioactive cheese? How the shit can Toopy just sense cheese through the damn force? Before you countered with the whole mice like cheese thing, mice have strong noses, yes, but not this level of alert awareness. And, you know, I'd actually forgive this as cartoon silliness if not for the fact that these guys have more superpowers than Superman already. It's like one new episode after the next. They have this competition of who can fit the most random shit in. I sure do miss stories with consequences and internal consistency. I get more narrative purpose in fucking Family Guy.
Welcome to Quahog's first recreational dispensary. Now, as you all know, I was against this. I fought it tooth. Maybe I should also fought it nail, but that time is gone.
If Toopy and Binoo are meant to be gods themselves, and that's how they can do so many random things, pulling shit out of thin air to contrive plots in their favor, that's pretty sucky. I think that's lame, man. This series worked better when it was about two people learning from each other. It was always about these very simple people, and the show dilutes that to the point of no return. You didn't need all this random shit to get kids interested. You know how I know that? Nobody watched it. The show was never renewed past the final episode. DVDs didn't sell very well, and the show went out with a very big whimper. All that time and effort went to waste. It's frustrating because all these problems I have with this show didn't have to be. You could have spent the time developing the world building and everything else. It's been done. There are plenty of actual good kid shows, even those made for really young children. Oh, was there a knock on my door? Oh, hi, Thomas! Hello, hi, I am Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas the Tank Engine and friends, I don't need to explain Thomas to you, do I? Everything I've complained about with Vroom Vroom Zoom was done better in Thomas and Friends. In 65 episodes, the show barely developed their two main characters. Within 26, Thomas and Friends managed to develop 6 main characters in incredibly interesting ways. Over the course of the first 5 seasons, Thomas himself transitions from an impatient brat to a level-headed adult. He adapts to the world around him with each mistake he makes. The rude, uncaring Thomas who said this:
"If we hurried across the viaduct, it might collapse, and then you'd have no passengers at all. What would you do then?" "Run my train on time, for one thing," retorted Thomas.
Was not the same Thomas who said this:
"Never mind, Henry," murmured Thomas. "I think you were brave today, and really reliable too."
Thomas was a great role model to kids because he slowly grew up with the audience. The plots of the episodes were mostly consistent and did a good job weaving themes with witty dialogue. The world building was actually good. All the stories took place on one island, yet they managed to remain internally consistent with one another. Thomas starts out in the cramped yards at the big station. Why is he there? He's the station pilot who sorts the trains out for the other engines. Why do the other engines need their trains sorted out? It's a busy station and railway, and they use the trains to take people and goods to and or from where they need to be. It's not perfect, and it did drop the ball the longer it went on. I may have some hot takes about it, but that's for another day. Ooh, mysterious and spooky, and I crack my wrist. But the show managed to keep relatively consistent because they stuck to these rules for over 100 episodes. And that's just one example. There are plenty of other kids shows that do this at least serviceably well. It just so happens that Vroom Vroom Zoom isn't one of those. If you ask me, the underlying issue with Vroom Vroom Zoom, beside the fact that I can't fucking say the name, was how cheap it was. That 65 episode long single season looks really hideous. Oversaturating the market is never a good thing. Franchises with more pull struggle to maintain that bite. The writing was bad. The characters were poorly developed and inconsistent, the plots are always a mess, and the world building doesn't make sense on any level. But the technical aspects of this show are really bad too. The voice acting from Frank Meshkulite isn't great, and it's a shame because he was actually pretty natural in the original show. But he just overacts his performance every step of the way. I get that Toopy's supposed to be energetic, but sometimes you need to know when too much is too much.
You did all kinds of woo-woos and stuff, which was great.
The show looks like ass. I've already been over the puppets, but the overuse of green screen really shows, man. It never looks natural, it always bleeds in. The shots are always the same. There's always so much dead space, and the paintings in the background aren't even that nice to look at either. I appreciated the rare occasion they did try something new, but that's not me saying they did it well, let me tell you. The bed especially looks very bad every time it's in motion, especially when it goes to land. But, on the positive side, I really do like the music. There are a lot of reused compositions, but there are some genuinely nice pieces in here.
Did it. Binoo, I made a beautiful snowball. It's fabulous, it's big, it's snowy, it's perfecto!
Some of them sound eerily similar to other compositions now that I sit on it.
There's a place in France where the women wear no pants and the men walk around with their bananas hanging down.
That's not a criticism, I think that's kinda neat. That's about all I can say about the music though. I'm not really a music guy, I don't know much about it, I can't really elaborate, sorry. There's a lot more I could say on this show, it's really bad, but I think I've had enough, to be honest. I can be mean to a show, but sometimes enough is enough. And I do actually feel bad for the production team. They clearly wanted the show to have more sticking power, and as much as I think they didn't do the best job, it's always a shame when someone's art doesn't get the longevity it hoped for. As much as I think this is really fun, I always want to make it clear that what I think and how I feel are two different things. I don't always love everything I consider well made, and I don't always think what I love is well made. So for as much as this show gave me a headache, it was really nice to revisit a show I grew up with. I hadn't seen some of these episodes since they first aired, and a few of them brought some deja vu out to the surface. I liked watching this show, as bad as it plainly is. And so with all that said and done, I'm giving Toopy and Binoo Vroom Vroom Zoom a 2 out of 10. Well, that was the video of all time, wasn't it, Scooby Gang? Seriously, I did not expect this being as long as it was. I thought 40 minutes tops? My lord, I just yap and yap and yap and yap and yap when you get me going. But if you liked this video, consider sticking around and subscribing to the channel. I love talking about movies and TV, and I'm gonna do it a lot. Click the notifications bell to stay up to date. And speaking of that, if you head down to the description, you'll find my link tree. Click that and you'll be able to head to all my social medias. Twitter, Instagram, hopefully Letterboxd, but it won't link for some reason. Send me a tutorial in the comments, please. I am so terribly confused and scared and I'm crying. I don't know what's going on with that. Speaking of talking to me, you can do that by joining the Discord. If you like talking about stories, you'll fit right at home there. Just don't be like a dick, okay? Like, don't be racist or anything. Make sure to actually read the rules, please. Anyways, I want to give a shout out to my buddy _XXRibbyGamer2008XX's. Oh wait, I'm getting a call from my producer. Hang on. Hello? He changed the name, but I've already recorded the other one. What the fuck did he change it to? Check out my buddy Ren's channel. When I'm uploading this, he probably won't have anything up, but he's cooking, guys, trust me. Oh, and he's the guy who told me the story about the weird classmate. If you're curious, he ruined the whole damn thing, apparently. Gopher relatives, we must all band together and get him. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Mary McKay Smith, I was making a joke earlier, just want to make that clear. I wasn't really going to go to you. I did have a plane crash, but that was incidental. He just kind of did that. And, yeah, no thanks at all to Mousy, though, rat bastard. He is literally the reason shampoo bottles have instructions. You definitely won't find any of that hoe's information in the description. I gotta tech. Oh, shit. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Mousy. It wasn't you who stole my wife.
I fucking thought so. Jesus, made me think I had the Finding Dory condition. Who was it?
It was the unicorn.
You know what? Apology accepted. Let's go jump that fucker.
Yay!